What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Jacqueline D'Agostino. Talking season, right? That is in full swing as SEC Media Days continue from Atlanta. We are in the thick of it. It is day 3, and today we are hearing from Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida, and Oklahoma taking center stage. Brent Venables, we've talked a lot about him on the hot seat, trying to find some success with the Sooners. Mississippi State, oh my gosh, also trying to find success. Went 0-8 last season in the SEC, trying to turn some things around. When it comes to Florida, can Billy Napier get another winning season under his belt with DJ Lagway and the Gators? And as far as Alabama, it is year 2 for Kalen DeBoer. The Tide still trying to find their way post Nick Saban with a new quarterback under center. Kalen DeBoer kicks off our conversation from SEC Media Days today. Take a listen.
We got to be better in the big moments. We lost some close games last year, and we had chances, maybe not even in the fourth quarter, but we had chances earlier in the game to separate ourselves or make a play here or there. And you know, whether it was the belief or whether it was the confidence, a lot of that just comes through repetitions. And so we've really had a great offseason, understanding where we fell short, why we fell short, not just the what and the how, but the why. And I'm excited about our guys, you know, taking those next steps, understanding when we get in those moments this year, those critical times, how to come through and make the play that's necessary to go win football games. We did make it known at the end of the spring that if we played a game at that point, and we really wouldn't have changed even at this point because there's nothing that's happened as far as practicing. You know, Ty Simpson would be the guy that would take the first snaps and be our starter. You know, challenged all of them at that time that they have to continue to take the strides. They got to continue in their own ways, improve. They've really, I know, worked hard to do that, and excited to see that progress 2 weeks from today. But they have the tools. You know, Ty, you know, throws a catchable ball. He's smart. He's been in, you know, college football now. Is going year 4. He's seen the ups and downs. He's got great relationships with the team. You know, he's a leader that way. He's really owned things, I think, on another level.
Let's welcome in our guys, Damien Harris and Josh Pate, joining us from SEC Media Days. Guys, you're in the thick of it. Day 3 out there in Atlanta. So let's talk more about Alabama. Year 2, as mentioned, for Kalen DeBoer. Went 9-4 in his first year. The first time Bama's not getting to those double-digit win seasons like we're used to seeing in 16 seasons. So, Damien, we heard Kalen DeBoer there talking about them being better in close situations. But how can, logistically, Bama take those next steps in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer?
Well, I think that he laid it out perfectly from the clip that we just heard. 2 things really stuck out to me. One was the accountability piece. He sat in front of everybody at Media Day and he said, listen, we let the moment get too big for us at certain points last year. We took a deep dive this offseason at what we did wrong, why we did it wrong, and then we tried to teach our players how to do it the right way. Not just because we say it, but because it's going to make a difference in some of those close games. Like he said, some of the games where we could have separated ourselves earlier in the first quarter, second quarter, and in the fourth quarter, you're in a dogfight, and you're in a situation that really you didn't have to be in the first place. So I love the accountability, and then going back to not letting the moment get too big. Now, that's never been the case at Alabama for the past, 20, 25 years, but it definitely seemed that way last year, and that came to a surprise to a lot of people because that's not necessarily the Bama way. But understanding this is Alabama, this is a team with great coaches, great players, and a great foundation. Don't let the moment get too big, and again, take accountability in everything that you do, whether it's on the practice field, whether it's in the weight room, the classroom. Take that accountability. Don't let the moment get too big. Learn from the mistakes that we had last year, and then they're going to be fine this year.
I think you can tell there's a weird vibe, Jacqueline. You used the word vibe. Very apropos, because the vibe a year ago was you had a bunch of folks who believed in DeBoer. You had also, I wouldn't say an equal number, but a healthy, sizable number of people who doubted him. It was, will his Washington ways work at Alabama? Can he recruit the South? Will the conference chew him up, spit him out, blah, blah, blah. Those same people exist. And you would argue they've even been given a little ammunition by last season. But you can also tell, like there's a lot of good stuff happening in Alabama. So the haters are like, they're trepidatious. They're still there, and they're still like tossing out. They're sort of whispering the doubt, Jacqueline, if that makes sense. But no one's shouting it this year, and I've picked up on that. It's in the phrasing of the questions, like it's all over the place. Because there are a lot of folks who still want that brand to come back to the pack and to fall back to the pack, and I don't think 1 year proves anything. But what Damien just said is true. And the other part of it is they got a heck of a coaching staff in that building that I don't think will get its just due, because it's a lot of guys who came from outside of this conference, many of them. So they won't get their just due until they win. But if they do win, I think aside from the execution, winning one possession affairs, limiting turnovers, that'll be another one of the key reasons.
I love how our analysis is, getting a temperature check on the haters and the vibe. Like, hey, that's what we do at SEC Media Days. It is talking season. I said that, right? Love that from you guys. Okay, let's talk about the quarterback situation. We already kind of touched on it, and so did Kalen DeBoer, right? Because Bama is one of many, maybe like 10 or so big-name programs that have some question marks when it comes to what to expect from the guy who's supposed to take over, right? So Ty Simpson expected to take over there for Jalen Milroe under center, and we heard DeBoer say he's smart. He's been in college for a bit, but really on the field, only 25 career pass attempts. So, Pate, how do you really evaluate this offense and what it's really going to look like with such a small sample size on the field at the quarterback position?
It's just the decision making, kind of the way we talked about Gunnar Stockton yesterday with Georgia. It's the same way I'll talk about Ty Simpson. Look, if you rub the crystal ball and you showed me the future and he's thrown for 3,200 yards and he's in New York for the Heisman ceremony, great. It's unreasonable for me to expect that. What I should expect is, you'll notice a theme for all these first-year starters at quarterback, whether it's Stockton, whether it's Ty Simpson. Arch was here yesterday. None of them are true freshmen. So we're talking about first-year starters, not first-year players. So what you hope is several years on a college campus, several years in Ty Simpson's case in the same system, familiarity with the coaching staff. I know you got a new coordinator, but it's the same playbook. What you hope is that removes a lot of the learning curve, a lot of the drinking from the fire hose, so to speak, that you hear a lot of young players talk about dealing with. Because all he has to do is get them in the right spot, get them in the right set, make the right checks, and then don't make the catastrophic error. But the fine line you walk as an offensive coaching staff is, don't coach the guy to play scared. Don't coach the guy to play tight. And look, this coaching staff knows what they're doing, but I think that's what you're looking for. You're looking right out of the gate. They go down to Tallahassee. That's a game they should win. He doesn't have to throw for 340 in the process, but what he can't have is a 1 or a 2 or a 3 in the turnover column, because that's how you let an underdog beat you and your season gets off to a terrible start.
And a wise man once told me, by the name of Bill Belichick, by the way, that you can't win until you keep from losing. And that's exactly what you're talking about. We don't need you to go out and make the super impressive throws. We don't need the optics. We don't need the 300-yard passing games. We just need you to get us in the right position at all times, call the right play, read the defense pre-snap and post-snap, and make good decisions with the football. Now, what I will say that wasn't played in the clip that we heard from DeBoer, one thing that I thought was interesting to supplement with the lack of experience, whether it's Ty Simpson or it's Keelan Russell, because, it could be either guy. They predicted to be Ty, but Keelan could prove that he can play. The lack of experience is supplemented by the fact that they are dueling in a competition for QB1. So when you have a lack of experience and guys who haven't played a lot of real-life football, you have to make them uncomfortable at practice. And that's what Coach DeBoer's job is to do, is to make it uncomfortable, make this competition between the two starting quarterbacks. I've heard that you've got 3 on the roster that can really play, but make it uncomfortable for them. Make it an extremely tough competition that you have to weed out who the best guy is, and then you gain experience through that.
And Pate, you mentioned right out the gate Bama taking on FSU, but they do have a tough test not too far after that. They're going to Athens to play Georgia on September 27th. So are you looking at this matchup as a potential make or break for Bama's season when it comes to making a CFP, or is it a total momentum swing for September 27th? How are you viewing that matchup? Because when it's Bama and it's Georgia, we're always going to put an asterisk next to it no matter what.
I think it's become the most important rivalry in the SEC. Historically, that's not the case. You're talking about Tennessee and Auburn with Alabama. You're talking about Florida, Tennessee, Auburn with Georgia. But that Alabama-Georgia matchup, I mean, that's been it. That was what Bama-LSU was when you were there. Like, that's been it. And so the path to winning this conference is run through that matchup largely. So I don't think it's make or break, because I don't know in a 12-team playoff era that you can ever call one game make or break. Now, as we get into the season and it starts to spell itself out for us, well, okay, if you've already lost games beforehand, then we could more accurately phrase that game make or break. What I think it is it's the kind of litmus test that last year's game was. I mean, we saw Bama light Georgia's defense up in the first half. Okay, well, make a mental note of that. It's not the last time it happened that season. We also saw Georgia show a ton of intestinal fortitude coming back. That's also not the last time we saw that. So what they'll give us, especially by week 3, week 4, week 5, is they'll give us indicators as to what they are. This is not week 1 anymore. Like, you've already gone through what the NFL would call preseason. You've already gotten several games under your belt, and you got most of conference play left. What I can't wait for is that September 27th. What are we talking about September 28th with both of those teams, but especially with Bama? What are we talking about? And by the way, what used to be the case is, all right, we got Vandy after Georgia, so we can get right against them. Right. Don't even whisper that anymore.
Right. And another thing, going back to the make or break conversation, I almost felt like this game kind of broke Alabama in a weird way, because they won the game, but then it looked like
That's interesting.
It looks like their production, the camaraderie, the foundation, it looked like it took a huge dip after that game. So the only thing I will say for either team, obviously this is going to be a big matchup like we've alluded to, but you don't want to deal with the emotional hangover or leading up to the game where you work yourself up, focused on one game, one opponent, and you're just preparing for them. No, just take it 1 week at a time. Once that game gets there, both teams, I'm sure, will be ready. They'll be prepared. It's going to be 2 great coaches, 2 talented teams, and, we're just going to have to see what happens.
And, Damien, maybe, actually, we do have Mackenzie Brooks, who's a UGA gal. I was going to say, maybe don't make any bets. We're going to be wearing any, Georgia merch if Bama loses. Damien, Pate, we appreciate it. Great stuff.
Well,
great vibe checks. Yeah, go, Damien, what?
I was just going to say, I've learned, do not bet on live TV.
No.
Okay. All right. So the lesson is learned. No more of the Tennessee orange on Damien Harris from making bets on television. We appreciate it, guys. Getting a look at some notable odds for Bama. 8-1 to go undefeated, plus 490 to win the SEC, minus 164 to make the CFP. Again, this is the expanded 12-team format there. And then, of course, 11-1 to win it all.